Audio is the single most important part of any online content. If I'm watching a video or a stream that doesn't sound good, I'm not sticking around. In this video, I'm going to give you 5 tips to make sure that your mic quality is not turning anybody away. In this video, I'm going to be using these 2 microphones as an example. My main microphone, which is what you're hearing right now, is the Elgato Wave DX, which is a dynamic XLR microphone. And this microphone over here is the Elgato Wave 3 USB condenser mic. I'll also be using the Wavelength software because it's super simple to use and the UI is very user-friendly. Tip number 1 is to decide which microphone is best for your environment. Depending on the type of content you make and the environment that you're in, this will vary. If you're in a well-treated room and you want to pick up those smaller, more delicate sounds, then a condenser mic would be the best choice. However, if you have a lot of background noise and you're only wanting to pick up your own voice, it may not be the best choice. If you're a gaming streamer with keyboard sounds, PC fan noises, air conditioning, mini fridge maybe in the background, then a dynamic mic like the Wave DX would be a great choice. This will aid in minimizing the background noise that nobody wants to hear and be better at isolating your voice. Just be aware that something like the Wave DX, being an XLR microphone, will require an audio interface to connect with your computer. If you're planning to go down the Elgato route for your audio, then something like the Wave XLR would be a great choice to pair with DX because that will also give you access to Wavelength. And I'm going to teach you how to use parts of it in this video. Another factor in choosing the right microphone for you, whether it's dynamic or condenser, is going to be placement. Dynamic mics, like the DX, do need to be quite close to your mouth. Whereas the Wave 3 is a little more forgiving, it can be further away, but having said that, it will sound better if it's in closer proximity. Some creators will prefer that the microphone's not up in their face, so it is something to think about. Just be aware that you may be sacrificing a little bit of sound quality to have that mic further away, at least when we're talking about these 2 options. Tip number 2 is ensuring your mic is in an ideal location. As mentioned in the previous point, each mic is going to perform differently in different proximities. If you're using a dynamic mic like the Wave DX, you want to make sure that you're talking into the top of it and also that you're about 4 fingers away from the mic. These mics have quite a lot of drop off, so if I wheel away, you're going to hear how much depth you are losing from my voice. So it's still picking it up, but it doesn't sound as good. If you're using a condenser mic like the Wave 3, it is a little bit more forgiving at a further distance, but I think you'll find that it sounds much nicer up close. To aid in the placement of your microphone, I would absolutely recommend a microphone arm. This will help get the mic closer to your face and also help you move it around if you need to. Mic arms will also help prevent any unwanted noises like bumping your desk, your PC humming sounds, and your keyboard thumps. This is particularly important if you're like me and you have 2 massive computers humming away on your desk. A super important factor that I think is often overlooked is the direction of your microphone. Both of these microphones have a cardioid polar pattern, and I'll put on the screen exactly what that looks like. Due to this pattern, they're going to pick up the least amount of sound directly behind them. So anything that you don't want to hear, like your keyboard sound, will be best placed behind the microphone. If you have PCs near you and you want to reduce as much noise of them as possible, if you can, place it behind the microphone. If not, just make sure it's not pointed directly at it. This will help in reducing the unwanted PC fan noise. Tip number 3 is making sure that your room is well treated. Now, you don't have to go out and buy fancy foam panels if you don't want to. There are some other things you can do. Basically, what you want to achieve is minimizing the surfaces that your sound can reflect off of. Carpet and rugs can help a lot if you're in a room with tiles or wood flooring. Artwork on materials like canvases can be a cheap and effective way to aid in room treatment, and also curtains over windows can help a lot. If you're looking for an aesthetically pleasing option, the Elgato Wave panels are super simple to mount, even if you're renting. And they do an amazing job at treating your space thanks to the dual density construction. Tip number 4 is adding some EQ to your voice. Do you listen to a recording or a stream of your voice and think, that is not what I sound like in my head? EQ can help you tweak your voice to sound more like what you're hearing in your head, and as a side effect, it'll probably sound more pleasing to the ears. For me personally, I don't love the nasal tones of my voice, so let me show you how to help minimize those using the Elgato equalizer. As I mentioned previously, we're going to be using Wavelength software, so let's jump in. If you have a Wave 3 mic, a Wave XLR audio interface, or a Stream Deck Plus, you'll have access to the Wavelength software. To add your microphone to Wavelength, make sure it's plugged in and hit Add Audio Input. Select your microphone, and also while you're here, make sure that the clip guard option is ticked. This will save your audience's ears when things get loud. Now we can add some EQ. Head to the audio effects button in Wavelink and you'll bring up a little menu. Hit the plus button, go down to Elgato and select the Elgato EQ. Now, while we're here playing around with the EQ, I need it to be known that there is no perfect setting for every single voice. Every voice is different and everyone's going to have a different idea of what they like themselves to sound like, so spend a bit of time playing with this. The best way to do this is by monitoring your voice and maybe have a set sentence that you say out loud. If you can pick up certain sounds that you don't like, drag things around and see how you go. To monitor, you're going to hit the little headphone symbol on your mic layer in Wavelink, and now you'll be able to hear yourself in your headphones. For reference, here is what my Elgato equalizer looks like for my voice. It's not going to work for everyone, and obviously it's also completely subjective. This is a demo of the Elgato Wave 3 microphone with no equalizer. And this is a demo of the Elgato Wave 3 microphone with the Elgato equalizer turned on. Tip number 5 is to add noise removal. This is most important if you're using a condenser mic, but it's still worth doing on a dynamic. If you have an NVIDIA GPU, you may be able to take advantage of the NVIDIA broadcast removal tool, but for the sake of everyone watching this video, to make it as useful as possible, let's stick with the Elgato noise removal. Just like in the first tip, we're going to hit the audio effects button, hit the plus, and then select Elgato noise removal. This cute little graphic will pop up and you'll be able to toggle it on and off. If you monitor your mic while you're doing this, you should be able to hear the difference between on and off. And depending on how noisy your environment is, it might be pretty drastic. I'll do a demo now of what it sounds like through the Wave 3 with and without noise removal. This is a demo of what it sounds like through the Wave 3 microphone with noise removal turned on. I'll give you a little bit of silence so you can hear that there's nothing. And this is a demo of the Wave 3 microphone with the Elgato noise removal turned off. Here is some silence for you to hear. I don't know if you can hear that, but I'm pretty sure there's like a dog crying next door, but you can definitely hear some fan noises. You can hear the mini fridge in the background and just like overall background noise that no one really wants to hear. The Elgato Wavelink software makes it so easy to add these effects. You could absolutely add a bunch of other VSTs to make your audio sound even better, but that's definitely a bit more advanced. If you considered yourself a complete audio noob before you watch this video, I hope now that you feel a little bit more confident. These 5 tips that I've given you today will definitely have your audio sounding better, and hopefully soon your audience will be complimenting you on how good you sound. If you consider yourself a bit of an audio pro and you have any other tips to making your vocals sound better, let me know down in the comments. And if you want to see more tech tips and tricks, hit that sub button.